Welcome to another episode of Love and Reality Podcast. I am your host, Ricky Valero. On today's episode, I am going to be recapping episode 7 of The Valley and Vanderpump Villa. As far as The Valley goes, this is the last episode before the finale, so it's definitely spicy, especially breaking down what happened post dinner from last week's episode. And then Vanderpump Villa, we're heading into the final stretch. This is episode 7. There is 10 episodes on this season. Definitely a whirlwind of events. A few programming notes. Over the last few weeks, you have seen me drop interviews with Vanderpump Villa's Caroline Bile. It was a great interview, great insight, along with the Circle Season 6 Cassie Sather. Both of those interviews were insightful. You got a lot of details about the show that maybe you didn't see each and every week. I've got interviews with Grace from Vanderpump Villa that will drop this Monday. If you're listening on podcast platforms and stuff like that, it'll drop on Monday. I think that's Monday, May the 6th. You'll hear the interview with Grace. And then next week, I will be dropping talking about the season finale of The Circle, which is May the 8th. You can expect that episode. We find out who's going to win the season. Very, very excited about that. And then, of course, programming note, May 9th. The GOAT drops on Prime Video / Freevee. I will be covering the show weekly. The first 3 episodes drop on May 9th, and then it switches to a weekly format from there. I will be dropping interviews with the cast throughout the season as well. I participated in the press junket for that this week. Had a lot of fun talking to a majority of the cast. Very, very, very excited about that. Of course, the ultimatum, South Africa, is also coming as well. So lots of content here for the Love and Reality Podcast. I hope it's not overbearing, but I'm having a little bit of a slice of the pie for everybody that loves all sorts of reality TV. A few other shows, programming notes. May 5th, I Kissed a Girl drops. Oh My God Fashion, May 6th. Love Undercover, May 9th. Naked and Afraid XL, May 12th. Fortune Hotel, May 13th. Drag Race All-Stars 9, May 17th. Race to Survive New Zealand on May 20th. And MasterChef Generations on May 29th. Lots of new shows coming in May. Going to be talking a little bit about all of them. But without further ado, let's dive into this week's episode of The Valley. Obviously, everyone is we're dealing with the trickle-down effect of Kristen and Luke, who left the dinner after the big battle between Jesse, Kristen, Luke, Michelle. Kristen's continued protecting you and protecting you and protecting you finally took a toll. Everybody kind of blew up. And then, of course, this is where we're at now. Everyone is yapping. I love this scene here with Naya talking to Danny and just being like, hey, shut the hell up. You know what I mean? I need you to just, I understand you want to be the fixer, but there's no fixing here. Jax says that he isn't sure whether how to be involved in this moment. But I will say this, obviously there's a lot of personal things going on, babies, breastfeeding, all that stuff. But I love Danny and Naya are like the king and queens of leaving parties right now. Rightfully so. They have stuff to do, personal, real stuff going on. But it's just kind of funny how we see them kind of disappear quite often when things kind of get a little crazy. Jesse said the group, Kristen doesn't need to be part of the group anymore, and it's either them or us. Producers ask Michelle about any secrets that Kristen has, why she keeps on saying that, and she says she doesn't have any. And then we see a conversation between Jesse and Michelle, and I can understand Jesse from this point of view. There's a lot of things I don't like about Jesse from this point of view. He questions whether or not Michelle is seeing someone. He said that hearing that she has these secrets, it gives him all these kinds of crazy ideas in his head. And then he kind of spoke to the camera about how early in the relationship, when he would put his phone down, face down, she would freak out about it. And now she's doing that same thing. One of the things that you could tell in this moment, and I just don't understand Jesse sometimes, because I think that he knows the inevitable, but also like he's not really seeing the lack of response from Michelle in this moment. She wasn't really reassuring, but it's crazy because they even talk about how them fighting with Kristen has kind of brought them closer together, but it has, but it hasn't, I guess. I don't know. Then we talk to we see Janet, who's kind of giving Jason the skivvy about all the details about what's going on. Jax, and then kind of calls out Jax about talking to Jasmine about Michelle and Jesse's business. So like she's like, they're gonna go visit Brittany and Jax later, and they're gonna have a talk about it. Luke and Kristen, great news for these two. They went to the doctors and they were worried because it's been like 6 months. She's trying to have the baby. She's not pregnant yet, but everything looks good. I love Luke's conversation here. Luke talks to the camera about, how relaxing and reassuring it was to see Kristen kind of get that good news and the look on her face and stuff like that. And then of course the doctor tells them to keep the stress low. I mean, that has to be a lot of it. Stress is a big factor, and we all know Kristen, and she likes the drama. You know what I mean? It is what it is type of scenario. But Janet, Jason go over to Jackson Brittany's house. Cruz, their son, was having some, teachings, obviously with the speech stuff going on, but Janet confronts Jax, and then Brittany says, the funny thing about this is like, Jax was like, Brittany knows. Brittany's like, I'm not gonna say anything. Like, I don't talk, kiss and tell type of thing with this. So Jax is trying to stand up for himself. And then Jax is kind of mad because he knows in his head, and everybody knows, that Janet would do the same exact thing. So Jax said, this was one, again, love-hate relationship sometimes with Jax, but he is reality TV gold. He said he's losing his touch. He wanted to plant the bug in Jasmine to find out what was going on, and then she report back to him what she found out, and then he would be able to drop the bomb. This made me laugh so hard. Again, Jack knows that he's a shit stirrer. You know what I mean? Jack just knows these sorts of things. However, he knows that he doesn't want to get his hands dirty, so he'll send Jasmine in, get her hands dirty, reports back to him, and then bada boom, bada boom. Brittany calling him out for gossiping is just beautiful. This entire scene was reality TV gold. Again, Jax knows what he's got. You know what I mean? He is good. Naya, she's dealing with a lot of the depression. She reached out to her sister-in-law who dealt with the postpartum. This is, to me, this is the best part of this show. We heard Michelle in that interview say that the reason why, even like further along, they knew the relationship was in turmoil, that they knew she went on the show to show a healthy or unhealthy a relationship and how that unfolds. You have the reality of divorce, trying to have a baby, postpartum depression, possibly with pregnancies, dealing with trying to have that baby. This is why the show is so good, because yes, there is drama. We all love the drama, but there is a lot of elements of this show that could really be highlighted on top of the drama. You know what I mean? You have one couple who are facing the reality of divorce. They know that they're going to get divorced. Like, I think they both know it deep down. Obviously, in real life, they do. But like, when you're watching the show, you're watching them try to handle things in a professional manner. It's not always easy, but couples going to therapy, couples talking about their problems, couples talking about struggles in their relationships, couples talking about struggling having sex, couples struggling to have babies. We have Naya, who's just struggling all the way around post pregnancy, trying to adapt to that. Brittany's trying to deal with her body, and does Jax love her, and all of that things. Like, all of these things are raw, relatable, and real, that I feel like make this show so good on top of the drama. I think this part of the show is what sets itself apart from some of the other shows. Jax and Brittany go to sex expert. She wonders if he's attracted to her anymore. All goes okay, but Brittany still feels alienated by Jax. She says if things don't change, she doesn't know what's going to happen. Luke, Jax, and Jason go bowling. Jax is terrible, and Luke is pretty good. Jax brings up the drama with Kristen. Jason said he didn't do anything but defend his girlfriend, talking about Luke. Luke gives it back a little bit to Jax, but then there's a montage of Jax saying over and over again that he's, a better person, he's fixed, blah, 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 which in some aspects it might be true, but in other aspects, we just heard him like 20 minutes ago talking about trying to be all up in the drama. But we go to a dinner, which was hilarious because Danny and I are toasting before dinner. They toast and they kiss, and they do it right in front of Jesse and Michelle. Very, very awkward because Jesse and Michelle are like, well, we don't have anything like that. It's just a sweet moment. Danny and I really like these two. Very sweet, very somber couple. I love them. I love watching them kind of flourish and kind of go. It's kind of weird seeing them on the show at the same time because I don't feel like they necessarily fit in. Jax has set up an overnight romantic vacation for Brittany. Janet and Jason are going to babysit their kid. Jason has no experience with kids. Them trying to watch Cruz was hilarious. Cruz has gone crazy. Jason and Janet are getting driven nuts by him. And Janet said, "We are Cruz's bitches tonight." Again, whole entire thing was hilarious. Whole entire thing was funny. Another hilarious dynamic. to watch, obviously, with Jason and Janet on the verge of bringing a baby into the world. So again, love this a lot. Kristen and Luke talk. Luke tries to explain his side of things. She isn't listening much, like always, and says they must tackle this to move forward. Luke is just a normal person, and Luke is trying to make her understand that she needs to get out of the drama. And I wish that he would have put it to her. Maybe he did. We didn't see the edit or whatever, stuff like that. But I think he needed to break it down in the terms of, hey, we're trying to have a baby. Doctor said less stress. Stop putting yourself in the middle of all the stressful situations. Period. End of story. You move on. You know what I mean? And then, of course, the overnight plans for Jax and Brittany don't go exactly how one would hope. Um, Obviously, they had talked about wanting another kid. Jack says that, there's a lot of things that go into that. He explained his money. He said he's trying to go to the bar, and then they fight. She kind of starts to break down. He brings up bringing another child into the world, saying they aren't, she says, if you're not ready to bring another child into the world, you need to let me know. And she cries, and he goes, you can't cry over this. First off, Jax, I credited you, congratulated you, like complimented you 20 minutes ago. This is something you cannot say, period. You cannot tell your wife, significant other, or anybody that they cannot cry or get emotional over a certain situation. There's a lot going on. There's a lack of sex. There's a lack of communication. There's a lack of her feeling loved, cared for, all of these things. And you cannot look at this woman and tell her you cannot get emotional. Absolutely absurd. Now, I do see his side of things when planning for the future. If you're bringing another kid into this world, money is a factor. Money's tight. Money this, money that. Money is a huge factor and a downfall of a lot of relationships. Um, and she said that, he kind of insinuated that he has to do all these things. And she says, you don't do anything, talking about, and she didn't mean it in a harsh way. It just came out in the moment, and it kind of really hurt his feelings. They kind of argue over finances. The overnight trip didn't really go as planned, which shocking, right? Next week should be interesting with the finale, because we get a little tidbit of looking at Brittany going to kind of announce to everybody that they are going to go separate ways right now. And obviously things haven't gotten much better since the show's been off there, because, well, we've seen it that way. But definitely interesting. Definitely another solid episode, I would say. The relatability aspect of the show is really good. It's really sad to know next week is the finale. I would love for us to get a reunion. Not sure we'll have one, because that would be spicy. You know what I mean? Kristen, Jesse, Michelle, Brittany, Jax, like, hello. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It would be gold for sure, but who knows? All right. Now, let's go ahead and switch over to Vanderpump Villa episode 7. It's 6 hours until check-in. We have the post-drama from the dinner last week. We had dinner's drama galore on both of these shows. Hannah is complaining that everybody was ganging up on her. This is hilarious to me. I cannot tell you how much Hannah and Telly have gone from like good to bad, so bad. Like, they're just so bad. Telly's still complaining about still complaining about people stirring the pot. The ladies, including Priscilla, are saying that they thought it was Rocky because they won't shut up. They're just like, kind of move on from this. Like, shut up and move. You literally talk shit about other people and you're mad because you got confronted about it. What? Hannah still says she did nothing wrong, which is complete bullshit. Eric is saying he learned his lesson to stay out of it and is hanging out with his bestie, the sheep. Lisa met with Priscilla. She's concerned about her. She tells her she wants to walk away. She's fine with it. And then Priscilla does decide to leave. Good for her. Like, good for her to get out of that mentally stable, not mentally stable environment there. And the people around her, just these girls are brutal. Like, it doesn't make any sense why some of these things are going the way that they did. Now we got a meeting with the group. Lisa announces that Priscilla left. Emily said she felt the same way and hurt to see her go. Kristen's holding the Stefan is holding the staff meeting because Lisa says that she's going to do other things to try to prepare having one less person in the chateau. Eric's not very happy that Stefan's getting this opportunity. Lisa says she needs someone in charge, and it's not Eric. LOL. Eric, of course, is not taking this very well. Hannah is happy there's one less girl, but Grace kind of calls her out, saying she should have gone, which was hilarious. Incoming group, a divorce celebration. Eric isn't happy because he had an ugly divorce. Grace and Eric are bonding I'm sorry, not Grace. Caroline and Eric are bonding over their shitty divorces. I love this. This is kind of the first time we ever see like a raw side of Eric. This is a good little moment that kind of showed his ability to have a vulnerable side because we really haven't seen it a whole lot. So yeah, I kind of liked it. But Lisa calls out Gabrielle and Andre and how perky they were. Of course, they find out they were shagging in the bed. Lisa's like, oh my God, that explains why Andre is so happy. Steven was also in the same room, which is hilarious to even think about. Lisa, just, I love her one-liners, her quick remarks, her attention to detail. Obviously, I feel like every day she would just get like a rundown of all the things that were happening in the house and was like, I'm going to talk about this or that. You know what I mean? What's going on in the house? Give me the skivvy. I'm gonna go in here. I'm gonna call everybody out for it. Let's see here. Moving right along. Let's the guest is throwing her dress in the fire. This entire thing was emotional for Eric. He wasn't very happy with how it was. He kind of confronted the guest about it. One of the guests about the idea of throwing the dress in the fire and how disrespectful it is and all these things and blah 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 blah. And then apparently a guest calls front desk and was like our room service and asked for a massage. And Eric said he's going to take the lead and get the job done. He wants to prove that he is, on demand Eric, and he's going to do whatever he can to make sure things happen. However, Lisa is in the backdrop, like, what is going on? We don't offer massages. This was hilarious. She wasn't very happy. And then she asked after Eric leaves the room. This was like, I mean, you could hear the girl. She was making so many like sexual sounds. It was hilarious. But Lisa asked him after he leaves, what kind of services are we offering? Eric's like, I can't do anything right. He says, what if they ask for a colonoscopy? Are you going to do that? What if someone wants to shag? Now, let's Eric, Marciano, if somebody called and asked to shag, 1000% Eric and Marciano are happening. After there's a weird dynamic here. We didn't get really like a comment card here. I wonder how bad the comment cards were because Lisa ripped Eric apart for massaging the guests in front of everyone. And then this is when we get an announcement of a new person coming on board. We have a new person added to the fold. Her name is Nikki. The guy's jaws were on the floor. She's a good looking girl. She's got the hots for Andre, but the producers kind of tell her that she's with Gabriella. She was disappointed. Definitely could tell that there's going to be things that are going to unfold with her. Good looking girl. Hannah is crazy. And then of course Marciano's acting weird. So Hannah confronts him because of Nikki. She asks if she's pretty. And he's like, no, nothing. He is struggling. Hannah and Marciano are just nuts. I mean, I don't get it. I don't get these two. I don't get why she cares so much. I don't understand it. Obviously, I heard in an interview, Marciano said that it was just like 2 weeks before 2 weeks before they were filming Vanderpump Villa, they needed another person. He suggested Hannah, and then that's where Hannah arrived, and then that's where things got weird. Andre said Nikki is fine as hell and is curious how things will play out with Marciano. He said he would try for Nikki if it wasn't for Gabriella. Yeah, doesn't really surprise me. Nikki's a good-looking woman. Marciano decided that he was going to be anti-Nikki because he didn't want to fight with Hannah, which was stupid. Like this entire thing, this is like third grade bullshit. Like this is some of the frustration I have with Vanderpump Villa because it feels like third grade bullshit. Marciano made a rude comment towards Nikki and it wasn't happy. And then of course Hannah and Nikki were fighting over it because Hannah was like, get over it, yelling and screaming, and why are you crying on your first day? And why are you yelling? And blah 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 blah. And just bickering back and forth like teenagers. I don't understand why do we care so much? It was just really irritated the piss out of me. This entire scene was just stupid. It led to a closed door argument between Marciana and Hannah. Hannah said she's leaving the show. Nikki's crying her eyes out. Andre's like, why is Hannah pissing everybody off? And then of course we get the credits. I don't know, guys. I would love to hear your guys' thoughts. What are we thinking about Vanderpump Villa? There's some aspects of the show that I'm really loving. I love the interactions with the guest. I love the ramped up guest. The parties, the Great Gatsby one this week was really cool. But I would love to hear more of you guys' thoughts on like, what do you see going on? Like, do you think that this drama is worth, worth it? You know what I'm saying? Like, is this drama something that's keeping you interested or keeping you intrigued or stuff like that? I would love to hear your thoughts on this. Let me know in the comments. And folks, like I said, that is it for this week's episode of the Love and Reality Podcast. Programming note, again, if you made it this far, thank you so much. If you do me a favor, subscribe to the YouTube channel or hit the subscribe button on iTunes, Spotify, hit the plus, give me a 5-star review. I would greatly, greatly appreciate it. It goes a long way with getting the Love and Reality podcast out in the mainstream to people. It would be very, very helpful for the show. Coming Monday, I got an interview with Grace to talk about some of the drama that unfolded inside the Vanderpump Villa house, along with her letting us know what we can expect over the final 3 episodes of the season. And then again, next week, the Circle season finale. We're going to talk about that. The GOAT premieres May 9th. So much stuff is going on. So much stuff is dropping. I can't wait to talk about it. Thank you guys so much for listening. Until next time, we'll talk to you guys next week.